Afternoon, everyone. A little before around noon today, our victim was just finishing taking a shower at his ex-girlfriend's apartment here at the Cypress Trace Apartments in the 700 block of Kings Avenue. When he exited the shower, he was met with an extremely irate, almost irrational ex-girlfriend who had just looked at his phone and was extremely irate. Irate, irrational, to the point that as he was getting dressed out of finishing the shower, he was met with her pointing her firearm at him, telling him she was going to kill him. He certainly believed her, was able to finagle away out of the apartment and fled, literally running for his life throughout the apartment complex. She gave chase through the apartment complex while holding this firearm, chasing him throughout the entire complex. He only managed to escape some type of harm, a brief break, if you would, because he was able to scale this 6 to 7 foot wrought iron picket fence gate that you see around the apartment complex, where he fled across the street to the Heaven Sent daycare, knocking on the door, begging to use the phone so he could call 911. During that 911 call, we could tell in what type of duress he really was, out of breath. Again, our victim was running for his life. But she never stopped there. She continued that hunt. She continued that pursuit. She got in her car and began looking for him, trying to find him. Even when she saw him talking to the deputies across the street in the parking lot of this nursery behind us, it still didn't prevent her from driving in. As she was driving in, we had two deputies on scene. One was a male deputy, one was a female deputy. The male deputy was closer to the car and approached the car to try to get her to stop. She didn't stop the car. Fortunate for us, she was almost at a slow roll, and he was able to take an evasive mover to get out and head towards the driver's side of the car as she was driving by. As she was driving by at this slow roll, this slow rate of speed, he sees a gun. He yells, "Gun, gun, gun." Our female deputy, who's doing her job as the cover officer on the passenger side, was at the same time telling our victim to get behind the car, the owner of the daycare to get out of harm's way. And at this sense of urgency, she was there today in this parking lot to finish the job that she had started. Our female deputy was forced to take that urgent action. She was forced to discharge her service weapon. Afterwards, our female suspect was taken into custody and transported with some upper torso injury. Again, non-life threatening. She was transported to the Tampa General Hospital. I have to stop for just a second and tell you how proud I am of the deputies' actions here today. There weren't a lot of options here today, but the deputies put themselves in harm's way to make sure that they were the only ones in harm's way, that these children in the daycare center behind me never do anything different. This elementary school right here that we can see, these students were never in any type of harm's way. The only person that was injured here today, thankfully, was the suspect. And again, she chose this because she showed up in this parking lot to finish the job she started. Our suspect is Terrell Green. She's a black female. She's 39 years of age. She has a criminal history of 3 charges of child neglect and a traffic charge. She is now facing charges of false imprisonment and aggravated assault with a firearm. That could change as this investigation continues. Our deputies involved, Deputy Christina Gaultier, she's been with the office since 2019, no prior uses of deadly force. And our other deputy is Michael Castelli. He's also been employed since 2019. He also has no previous uses of deadly force. Now, as in our policy that we started last year, that policy of full disclosure and transparency, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement now takes over this investigation and investigates it from this point forward. I will tell you that we did recover, were able to see and recover a black semi-automatic firearm inside the driver's side of this car. But again, we're not able to retrieve that firearm. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement will do a search warrant as they start doing their interviews and working through, and we will help again with processing the scene, but they take over the investigation at this point.
Sheriff, can you tell us which vehicle is the suspect's vehicle?
Yes, it's the red, I believe it's a red Camry, red Camry. I don't know if you can see it here, but it's pointed in. As you see that it's pointed in, you can quickly realize what I was talking about, as our female deputy put herself in harm's way to make sure that she was never able to get to the victim or any child at this daycare behind us.
Were they living together, or is this an ex-girlfriend that showed up at the apartment?
We're still working through those details. At quick glance, he was at her apartment. This was her apartment. He was taking a shower at her apartment. As he was finishing a shower, she was looking over she was either on the phone talking to someone, discovered something on the phone that made her that irate that she wanted to kill him. And as you saw here today, she took the steps to do just that. We're working through that now. That'll be part of the interviews that we conduct. She had the gun. How was she holding it? What hand she had it in? To that degree, we don't know that right now. It'd be irresponsible for me to comment. It's just too premature.
Sheriff, was she seated in the car in the driver's seat with the handgun, refused to put it down? Was she holding it up? Do we know that yet?
Correct. We don't know that yet. That'll be during the interviews, and we don't conduct those interviews. The Florida Department of Law Enforcement does. Again, we don't want to taint that investigation. So she had the firearm. She was sitting in a driver's seat. How was she holding it? Who was she pointing it at? Et cetera, et cetera. I just don't know that at this point. Again, it is too premature for me to make such statements. You know what? I don't think they have time to think. I don't think she had time to think, to put herself between her, the suspect, and the children here today. I think that's why we do as much training as we do. I think that training kicks in, that muscle memory kicks in, along with this female's deputy bravery here today. That's what we witnessed here today, to make sure no one got hurt but the suspect who had the firearm.
Sheriff, are you glad that this ended the way it did and not a fatality?
You have to try it one more time.
Are you glad this is how it ended without the assailant being, shot and killed?
I'm always glad when we don't lose a life. Violence is never accepted in any fashion, shape, or form. I'm glad the deputies took the action that they did, and I'm glad that she's still alive. I would never wish for anybody to be killed, regardless of the circumstance. I am grateful that after she receives her medical attention, she'll be going to jail where she belongs. She was in the driver's side, again, with the firearm when the deputies were forced to shoot her.